We're so successful when it comes to vaccinations. Why don't we open up the economy? Why don't we open up schools or even restaurants? Because if we don't do that sooner rather than later, we're all going to suffer other effects further down the line.
Yes, of course. That nobody likes the measures that we're under. They're done as a last resort. But unfortunately, I think we're going to have to stay under fairly tight measures for quite some time. I think everybody wants to open schools first, but they are kind of risky. And so that will have an impact on the epidemic. And so if we open schools, then we're not going to be able to open up very much else for some considerable time. What we have to do is we have to give ourselves enough time to vaccinate the next set, the sort of 50 and 60-year-olds who are still at quite high risk of severe outcomes from COVID. And that will take a lot of time. I mean, if you think about it, we're vaccinating at a very high rate now, but that's just the one dose. So to vaccinate the next group, if we're extending the vaccination, then we'll need twice as many doses, because we're going to have to start giving one of the doses to the people who've had a single dose up to this point, the very elderly.
Sure.
And so we'll have to essentially double our rate in order to keep vaccinating new people at the rate that we are, if you see what I mean. So it's a huge task. We'll need a lot of things to go well. And that's going to take some time. We don't have, we'll have to make sure we have the vaccine doses in the country and all of that stuff. So it is inevitable that is going to take quite some time, unfortunately, in order to at least offer one dose to the other groups at pretty high risk.
When you say we are going to live under restrictions for quite some time, let me press you on that without you giving me a precise date, because I guess no one can really do that. But roughly, when do you think we can return to some degree of what used to be called normality? I'm talking about shops opening, schools opening, pubs opening, restaurants opening, something like that.
I mean, I think that probably the safest way to think about it is by looking at how many people will be vaccinated and who are likely to be vaccinated. So if the government's plan goes well, and by May, I'm not quite sure whether that's the beginning of May or the end of May, then most of the over 50s will have had one dose. Well, that's great news. I think at that point you could start to think about easing things to some extent. So I think over the summer, I think it's likely to be easier than it has been up to this point. But that will be the over 50s having had one dose. It's going to take till September for them to get the second dose, and of course that's the over 50s. If you really want to stop transmission, you have to vaccinate the rest of us as well. And most of us are under 50 years of age. So you've still got a huge way to go before we're really genuinely out of this first wave. We're really still in the first wave. And it's going to take to the end of the year, for that to happen, for us to start to make a serious inroads into vaccinating the rest of the population. And then we can look. I hate to say it, but it's next year when really things will be easier. This year is still going to be very difficult, and very difficult for the government to negotiate and find a way through. It's still going to be very hard.
So we could still be socially distancing next Christmas.
I hope that it's not going to be like last Christmas, which was pretty awful. But I think we will still have measures in place. This is going to take a long time.